Hello, hello, hello. Good morning on this fine Wednesday, March 9th. We're here for our March table talk. How's everyone doing?
Amazing.
Good
We're
morning,
good.
George. Great.
Well, today we're going to be joined by another special guest. We've been rolling lately with our guest. Today, we're talking this whole month living with disabilities. And today we have Connor Stotts. Connor, there he is.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
There he is.
Welcome.
Connor, you want to introduce yourself and what you do around here?
Oh, I'd love to. My name's Connor Stotts. I'm the diabetes nurse manager for the consortium. Uh, I lead the diabetes team here at Indian Health Council. If you ever see me out in the community, one of my main jobs is just going to people's homes, talk with them about diabetes, helping them with medications, just generally handling diabetes-related matters.
Just to dive right in the topic, would you consider diabetes a form of disability?
Oh, that's a really that's a controversial question right off the bat.
Okay, well let me make it less controversial.
Yes.
What are some of the obstacles you see with people that have diabetes? Some of their living situations, or some of the things that they might have difficulties with.
Oh, I love that question, George.
Okay. Sorry.
Going out in the community, I've seen kind of the extremes of reactions to diabetes. There are some people, they think of diabetes and they're not worried about it at all. They're like, it's not affecting me right now. Why should I worry about keeping my blood sugar control? And then the other end of the spectrum, I've seen people who are just totally in despair. They're overwhelmed. They're told what to eat, how much to exercise, medications, all these lifestyle changes come with them all at once. One person even had it described as a curse.
Comparing it, diabetes to a chronic illness, Connor.
Oh, it is a chronic illness.
Okay.
There's type 1 and type 2.
And our topic this month is living with disabilities, right? So we're talking about comparing behavioral health disabilities to physical disabilities. Could you talk a little bit what a chronic illness is?
Oh, well, chronic illness is different just from, like, let's say you broke your arm and your arm needs to be mended at a hospital. A chronic illness is one that takes place over a long period of time. And for a lot of people, like let's say type 1 diabetes, it's an autoimmune disorder that destroys your body's ability to produce insulin on its own. It's something that people, for some, may experience for a lifetime.
Cool. Okay. So we wanted to talk a little bit about breaking it down of comparing physical conditions. A good buddy of mine, Mr. Pojas, has a carousel comparison of we have a tendency to be more where we want to help out that person or that physical illness that we see, right? Like you talked a little bit about that broken arm.
Mm-hmm.
Versus somebody that's probably suffering from anxiety on the side of the street, that they both need help. Us as society, we have a tendency to lean one to the physical illness that we can see.
I've noticed that it's almost socially acceptable. Tell people like, yeah, I broke my arm, and like people are very open about that. But if people they're suffering from anxiety, like you're talking about, or depression, research shows that quite a lot of people are experiencing anxiety and depression, like nationwide. But no one really talks about it. We all want to keep it private and close to our chest.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of the obstacles and things that people have with disabilities definitely sounds frustrating. Probably like some of the mental health disabilities that we talk about more here on the behavioral health side. What kind of support does somebody with diabetes get? from family and friends?
Thanks for bringing that up, George. One of the things when I go to people's houses, I make an assessment just what their support network is like. Like, is this patient going to be able, take medications on time, track their diet, be motivated? And a huge thing I've seen with just different, patients is that family support and just community support in general is a huge indicator of whether or not that they're going to be successful in controlling their A1C. And so a lot of times when patients come to clinic or at their house and they let their family members like in the conversation, I always want to just stress just to, let's say, the daughters or to the parents, just how important their support is in helping someone just control their diabetes. Even if it's just emotional support, it goes a long way.
Sure. It's probably hard because all we've ever known, is to eat and to celebrate a certain way. And when this person's life changes, it really, from what I'm learning, and growing up and getting older and getting into some health issues, is I need like everybody around me to change, and it's kind of really hard enough just to change myself, but to have, healthier eating and people not bringing certain foods or not doing certain festivities is almost like impossible to change.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that a lot with the elder population. Unfortunately, the local elder population, there's a large amount of diabetes, and they have their family members taking care of them. I ask, so what'd you have for breakfast this morning? Their family member brought them their breakfast, and it was like a big old chocolate croissant with like a coffee filled with like sugar and cream. And so, just from your own experience, you're talking about that it is difficult to make these adjustments, these changes when family members are, they're eating the bagels or they're having their soda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that research and that support from family members to look into it a little more deeper and get a better understanding. And I believe that's one of the things we offer here at IHC is kind of educating the family as well on what are some, good things, choices to make and help them, kind of educate them too on, what to do and how to support their loved ones. It's awesome.
Yeah, it seems like when it comes to like these type of life changes or being diagnosed, it definitely impact someone's life. Um, when do you see, basically, if somebody is because I'm sure you get depressed when you hear this type of news that you're diabetic. I know personally, when I get news from my doctor about my health information, particularly my weight, it's depressing. And sometimes I feel deflated and defeated. But if I get, words of encouragement from peers, even the doctor's attitude, that talks to me, if they're encouraging and motivating, it kind of helps me feel like I could combat this, and but if it's kind of like, um, George, you shouldn't be eating that. Dang, you
Yeah.
can't eat your own, man.
Yes.
And it's like, well, shoot, I'm gonna eat it. I'm not gonna hang around these guys no more because they're telling me what to eat. When another person might say, hey man, you wanna go for a walk with me? It's kind of like, if mentally, how am I approaching dealing with this? And if I feel positive, I might deal with it in a more healthy manner. And if I feel negative, I might not deal with it at all. Does that make sense to everybody? I guess I don't know.
Especially your
I don't know
approach.
if that was a question or an experience, but it can be really difficult emotionally.
Right.
Oh, I just want the audience to know that like we didn't rehearse these answers, but George, you're like right on the money about that. There's like so many doctors and nurses. Someone gets their diabetes like diagnosis, and we're just like, don't quit drinking soda, take your medication on time, like just laying it down, throwing the papers at them, and then we're out the room. And the patient's just like left there, just like, oh man, what am I supposed to do? I've found the most success is not telling them, do this and don't do that, but just encouragement, positive motivation. The thing I love telling patients is like I could tell you all day long what you need to do, but like it has to start here first. And an example, I had this patient, very uncontrolled diabetes. The percentage went down a whole 3%. And the doctor told this patient, oh, it's still out of control. It's still bad A1C. And, I visit this patient and I tell the patient, this is amazing progress you've made so far, dropping 3%. Just encourage them just in those lifestyle changes that they're making, small steps, just what are they doing rather than just what you're making them do.
Yeah, because I imagine a lot of people, when they get that news, they might get mildly depressed and, just not feeling good at all about themselves. And then just, having that, not having that support, it really goes into what we're talking about with our mental health. Breaking that stigma and letting people know, like, hey, I need more support from you. This is hard for me. Can you help me? So, good stuff.
One of the advantages here is that we do have a team of the diabetes team, like Connor, Lorelei, that will go up and support you and refer you back. We have Misty too, as well, right?
We have Missy. We also have Wyatt, our activity
Wyatt, I
specialist.
forgot about Wyatt. Can't forget about Wyatt.
No.
So we have a whole team of support system, not including the behavioral health side, the PEI team that can help, help them with their medical condition, and hopefully we can break that stigma to knock those barriers down
Mm-hmm.
I think there's this misconception that for diabetic patients, that all we want to do is just push like pills at the patients and just kind of send them on their way. But there really is here at Indian Health Council, I've noticed at least a holistic center of lifestyle driven changes through diet and exercise. And I just really can't emphasize enough, like, just what a valuable resource Misty, who's our dietitian, or Wyatt, our activity specialist, and just helping to change that the A1C.
Also, I would love if you could touch a little bit on because I hear this a lot. Oh, it's inevitable. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get diabetes. There's nothing I can do, so might as well follow my path. Which is all. It all starts with prevention, right? It's not a life sentence. People can live functionally with diabetes. Also, a lot of people could probably also help prevent it, right?
So there's type 1 and type 2. Type 1, that's totally not a person's fault. It's their autoimmune system is destroying some cells in their pancreas. Type 2 is preventable. Good diet, good exercise. You're more likely to get it if you're a certain demographic. Unfortunately, Native Americans are at a higher rate of getting it than non-Native Americans. But let me just talk about some of the diabetic patients I've seen. And this is almost, we have like these papers, all day long. I can read a book about what the signs and symptoms of diabetes are, which is you're more thirsty, you're more hungry, you have to go to the bathroom more often. But working with some of these patients, they tell me as we're getting their A1C down, as we're getting their blood sugar more under control, they're telling me, Connor, like, I'm not thirsty anymore. I don't have to drink like 3 bottles of water when I wake up in the morning. Like, they're starting to see that change. We had this one patient, they went to the hospital and they were just so motivated after almost dying, and they had so much family support that their A1C went from the double digits to now they have an A1C that's better than most non-diabetics. And so, like, that's why I really want to emphasize those lifestyle changes, because I have seen just the positive turnaround for people.
That's so good.
Sorry, my mic was muted. It's tough because a lot of times we only know support. I'll speak for my family and the experiences that I've seen. The support, when we say the word support, it comes in forms of like cake and food and good food and a lot of food. It's, if somebody is depressed, you take them out to eat. If somebody's sick, you bring them chicken soup. Or somebody's even celebrating, you guys have a bunch of food. And so when it's something like this, like diabetes, the opposite, we need to do the opposite. And it's like we have no idea how to do that. So it's really hard.
Yes.
Lifestyle change.
Lifestyle.
Big
So let's
time.
talk a little bit about disability. Miss Yepa, Jason, and George. Disability, I'm going to read a little quote, refers to the amount of disruption and a health problem caused by a person's ability to work, carry out daily activities, and engage in satisfying relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're comparing, they're both as disabling. We're here to, like how we're talking about diabetes, to help provide support also for that behavioral health side. Somebody that might be going through anxiety or might be depressed or even substance abuse.
Oh yeah. There's definitely some reasons why people, in as it relates to diabetes, probably eat a certain way.
Uh-huh. Could be coping skills, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
I'd say.
Boredom.
Boredom.
COVID. I
Yeah.
know with COVID,
Yeah,
a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm hungry again for no reason.
stress.
Boredom.
So we talked a little bit about how diabetes can be disabling. How can a behavioral health issue increase or be disabling? I'm putting it out there to the team.
Well, for one, they don't seek the help.
Hmm.
You don't get that support.
Hmm.
You kind of just, like George said, the coping skills, you kind of learn to just cope with it. And throughout time, that coping skill, you might need to enhance it more. And who knows, the options that leads to.
Sometimes we talk a little bit about um, access to services, right? Connor, if you have somebody that lives an hour away from the clinic and they can't make their appointment, they have no transportation, not only a medical appointment, how about a behavioral health appointment?
Mm-hmm.
It's always tough to get that access to means, right? To come in and be seen.
Yeah,
Um,
there are certain areas that are much more difficult even for us to drive out to, let alone
yes,
imagine some people that don't have transportation getting to us for those proper services.
exactly. Some people that don't have the transportation, don't have a car, don't qualify for transport. Um, maybe work Monday through Friday and don't get off till 5 o'clock when we're closed, right? The internet or the virtual visits can be tough, right? There's a lot of areas that the internet don't work,
Mm-hmm. And
right?
that's disabling in itself because that's the healthcare access that, we as a rural community need that connection and support. It's not always readily available.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things I think IHC tries to, help and work with, our partners and the county.
Yeah.
But knowing your resources and knowing, who to contact if you run into something like that, what are the best options? So definitely knowing who to call. And IHC is one of those hubs we can connect you to.
I see. Yes.
So, Connor, quick question: what is the process as far as getting checked for diabetes? And you don't necessarily have to be overweight to have diabetes, correct?
Oh no, I've seen some pretty skinny patients with diabetes, even skinnier than me. So you're asking like how someone gets diagnosed by one of the doctors for diabetes?
Yes.
Usually it's because someone comes in for an annual exam and they have one of the blood panels done to check for their A1C. And so pre-diabetes is an A1C of 5.7 to 6.4%.
Mr.
When
Connor,
it,
can I stop you real quick? Can you
yes.
touch what an A1C is? We keep talking about the abbreviation, but can you just break it down?
Oh, yes, I'd love to. So there's blood sugar, just how much sugar is in your blood. But then there's A1C. Uh, our blood cells live for around 90 days, as it's traveling around in our bloodstream. Those blood cells are picking up sugar. And so the A1C is kind of like that 3-month snapshot of how much sugar your blood cells have been picking up in their average 90-day lifespan. And so the A1C just lets us see like how much sugar was there available that these blood cells are picking up. And if the percentage is really high, that's because you have diabetes and your body's not properly, taking care of that sugar in the bloodstream. I think it's important. Just I want to talk to the men in the audience right now. How important it is to get the annual physical exam. I get to look at the percentages of us that get our annual physicals done, and it's I think it's like 11%. So I'm guilty of that. I went like 7 years without getting the physical exam one time. So I understand like how lame it is, but it's really important because there's another guy looking at data, like your A1C might creep up on you, and then one day you might find out you have diabetes, and this could have been an ongoing issue for years.
So PSA, get checked. Physicals are important.
Physicals are important.
Sometimes I think we're used to, or I mean, how could I say, if out of mind, out of sight, right? If we don't do it, or if we don't, how could I say, don't pay mind to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Connor, what are some other things that other approaches that you may have to somebody that's living with a disability, in general?
Other approaches to someone living with a disability in general. I think one of the biggest ones is you guys already touched on it already is getting help. I know like a big purpose of this video is trying to address the stigma, with disabilities. So physical disability, mental health disability, physical, like if it's a broken arm, people come forward. But with mental health, people, they get withdrawn or they get nervous about revealing like what's going on just internally. So just getting help professionally, talking to your family members, I think that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Even, I want to encourage people too, even if it is with your provider, or in this case, if Connor's visiting and, and maybe you're visiting grandma, but, granddaughter's there, maybe mention it to Connor. Hey, I think my grandma's depressed, or my grandma just hasn't been feeling right, or something's off, maybe you can cue in some tips or encourage, a referral to Indian Health. Hey, we have a behavioral health department down here. Maybe she wants to see a therapist. So just because you're going to the doctor for a physical or for an exam doesn't mean the doctor, because nowadays we generally ask more and more questions about mental health. Like I think there's like an abuse, domestic violence questionnaire. There's a depression questionnaire. I think there's a drug and alcohol questionnaire, right? A couple questions each. And that's just to encourage people to that might be the only professional that they see, and that professional maybe can get them a referral. So just encouraging people to reach out and share the situation with your providers too. They can be a form of help.
Yeah. Looks like we have a question. Diabetes can cause a major physical disability too if untreated, right?
Oh, you know what? For a lot of my patients in the local community, healthcare professionals unfortunately use scare tactics sometimes about what the long-term effects are of diabetes. But I don't even have to tell a lot of the people in the community, because they see their uncles or their grandparents and they see the amputations. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of that out here. They see people going blind. So what diabetes does is it's too much sugar in your blood. It can start to cause blood vessel damage. So it might cause blood vessel damage in your eyes, potentially causing blindness. Might start to cause, a common one is nerve damage, neuropathy. I've had people describe it to me. It sounds incredibly painful. Just walk around all the time with just pain shooting up your legs. And if you have all that pain all the time, it starts to make you numb to wounds on your feet. I could go on about the physical disabilities that could be caused by diabetes, but yes, it can cause a major physical disabilities if it's left untreated.
But if it's treated, they can live they could thrive.
Yeah.
So with medical professionals, we never like to give like concrete yes or no answers to that. But what I can say confidently is like looking at the research, your chances of these things, if you have it well controlled, go drastically down. So the percentages like just drop to like much lower chance of those things occurring if you like keep it under control.
It's kind of a heavy topic, huh?
Yeah.
You're just like in shock of just, how much goes into this. Is just one aspect, of diabetes.
Oh, you're welcome.
I just think it's
Disability.
we're so, one thing we want to bring it light to is we as a society are only sympathetic to the disabilities that we can physically see. So somebody with a broken arm, we can help them. Somebody with diabetes, it's kind of like, well, just don't let them eat.
Don't invite them out to eat.
Yeah, and it's like, the more education and awareness we can get, I think the more we can help and be that support, with our families.
Mr. Connor, George brought up a topic of you could also refer them, if somebody reaches out to you when you're at home, right? They can also reach out to you and you can help them provide them the support that they need, whether it's behavioral health issue or a physical issue, right?
Oh yeah, one of my favorite examples of that is one time we had a patient that was like out on vacation. They lost like all their medical supplies all at once, and they're at a hotel. So what we can do here at the clinic, if you call my number and like you're in a situation like that, we can help give you like an inside line to help get your supplies redone. Or if you want like an appointment with the provider, we can help you with those referrals as well.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then Connor,
scary.
Yeah, with some of the individuals, do you work out a food plan for them, and do you have just examples of that where they can start gradually eating different things?
So when you get into specific food plans, food details, I have to delegate that to my team member Misty, who's a registered dietitian. So this is how much I know about food. Misty knows a lot more.
Yeah.
But one thing I did one time, just staying within my scope, all I did was I had the patient make a food log for a week. And a lot of times when I ask patients to do that, they don't do that. This one did. I was surprised. I was happily surprised. We were looking at the food log. I said, like, it looks like you're eating candy 4 times a day. Let's cut it down to 2 times a day. Rather than just tell them, like, hey, cut the candy out entirely, just 2 times. And they did it. And then this is one of my stars whose their A1C is just, they're going down. It's not because like I'm telling them like cut out everything all at once, do this, don't do that, but that they're just taking small steps. They're just self-motivated.
Moderation is key.
Moderation. Connor, I think you do phenomenal work. I think the whole team does phenomenal work, and I love hearing those stories. And I think
thanks for taking the time to join us.
Yes, thank you.
Everybody, all your patients or every patients can be superstars, right? I mean, I guess that's the ultimate goal.
Yes.
We have a few some time left, and I always like asking our guests, do you want to leave with a quote, information, your number, your home number in case you want them to call you at midnight? It's up to you.
with the quote. Oh, I see that my phone number is already down there.
Your phone number is on there.
Connor, you're going to be at the Palma Farms walk.
Oh, yep, the Palma 5K walk. That's coming up. Was it this March 20th?
Yep.
Yes.
March 20th.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll be out there. What are you going to be doing out there?
Oh, I'm going to be doing some diabetes screening. We'll also have some incentives. So if you want to give me a drop of your blood, check your blood sugar, then I'll give you a nice little, I think it's a little lunch pail with some plastic.
Do you know what they're serving there?
I can't remember off the top of my head. The menu's changed a few times when I've sat in the meetings.
So there will be lunch, and I'm sure it's going to be a good lunch, right? And then there's going to be a walk and a bunch of incentives. I think they're doing like a veggie box or something like that. It sounds like there's a bunch of cool stuff going on that day.
Oh no, they're really going like full ham. I think since the lockdown's starting to get lifted, that like people really want to get back into those communal gatherings.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any final questions?
Just remember, we have our What About Life podcast. You can reach us if you're not available on this live. You can catch us on our podcast. We're on a few different platforms. If you need to get a hold of us, we will direct you um, to our podcast. It's Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So some of those things you can hear us on a regular basis as well.
Thank you, Mr. Connor, PI team. Thank you guys for joining us and everybody that was out there.
Thanks, Connor.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Connor.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, guys.